Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining this morning. Let's make a start and we'll do Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giravardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giravardhari Shodanandana Vraj Jana Ranjan Shodanandana Vraj Jana Ranjan O Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Om Agyan Timirdhandasya Gyan Anjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutle Swam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadutam Krishna Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavan Eshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranmami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatu Prihascha Kirpa Sindhubevacha Paditana Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasthaya Bhutre Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Te Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Parcharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasdi Gaur Bhakt Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Garim Yat Kirpataham Vande Shri Guru Din Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Taneshram Hari Om Tassat Narayam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Chemaduriyat Nasta Presha Abdureshu Nityam Bhagavad-Sevayā Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. Okay, Hare Krishna. Let's do the final 4 or 5 verses left. We completed Kunti Mata's prayers last time, and then we also did a summary of those prayers and how wonderful prayers they were, coming from the heart, and how much wisdom there was in the prayers that Mata Kunti recited. So now we are on verse 49. Bal the which, everybody can see this? Okay, you can see?
You can see, Prabhuji. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Okay. Now it should be all right. Bal the which Suran Mitra Pitar Bhratra Guru Druha ha Name Syan Nirayan Moksho Hi Api Varsha Yuta Yutahi. So Bal is boys, Dvijya the twice born, Suhurat well-wishers, Mitra friends, Pitr parents, Bhratar brothers, Guru preceptors, Druha one who has killed, Na never may my Syat they shall be Niryat from hell, Mokshaha liberation, he certainly api although Varsh years, Ayuta millions, Ayutahi being added. So I have killed many boys, Brahmins, well-wishers, friends, parents, preceptors and brothers. Though I live millions of years, I will not be relieved from the hell that awaits me for all these sins. So this was Yudhishthira Maharaj. After Kunti Mata's prayers, then Yudhishthira Maharaj came to Sri Lord Krishna when he was leaving, and he was telling his grievance, and he was talking about that, what has he done? Although this was all sanctioned by Krishna, but now Yudhishthira is not satisfied that what we done was the right thing to do, and he thinks that is all because of him, because who gained from this? He did. He became king. So he's thinking, just to make me king, all this has to happen. So, he feels very guilty. Whenever there is a war, there is certainly a massacre of many innocent living beings, such as boys, brahmanas, and women, whose killing is considered to be the greatest of sins. They are all innocent creatures, and in all circumstances, killing of them is forbidden in the scriptures. Maharaj Yudhishthira was aware of these mass killings. Similarly, there were friends, parents, and preceptors also on both sides, and all of them were killed. It was simply horrible for him to think of such killing. And therefore, he was thinking of residing in hell for millions and billions of years. So, Srila Prabhupada explains that Yudhishthira didn't get the point. The real point was missing, that whatever he had done, it was under the instruction of Krishna. So, if you're doing something under Krishna, there is no reaction, there is no karma involved. Therefore, for ordinary man, it was great sin for sense gratification. If we kill so many persons, we are liable. But so far, Pandavas are concerned, they didn't do it for the sense gratification. They did it for Krishna. So whatever they had done, that was right. It was the right thing to do. Yudhishthira didn't get the point. That was also Krishna's will. Otherwise, being such a great devotee, he would have not misunderstood this. So he didn't get the point, according to Srila Prabhupada. Now it's like compared to somebody being in the army. You got this Ukrainians and the Russians fighting each other, killing each other, mass massacre. But they will not be charged in their own country for doing, because they are, they're doing an official job. They have been asked for the government to fight. But otherwise, if they were to kill someone, then they would be charged and locked up. So it's like that. So anything that's done legally under the sanction of a higher authority seems to be okay. And it's like you have sharpshooters. When there's like somebody, they find out somebody holding somebody at gunpoint, or there's weapons involved, they bring in the police, they bring in the sharpshooters, and they, if they have to, they will kill the culprit, right? And they don't, unless there was some defect in the way they behaved, it would be acceptable, and they will probably be rewarded for their actions. So it's like that. So same thing happening, but what was the process, for what reasons it happened, that is the important thing. 50 Nenu Rajanha Praja Bratur Dharma Yudevado Divasham Iti Menatu Bodhaya Kalpate Shashanam Vacha. So never ena sins Rajanha of the king, Praja Bratuhu, or one who is engaged in the maintenance of the citizens, Dharam for the right cause, Yuddhe in the fight, Vaddaha killing, the Visham of the enemies, Iti all these. For me, never to but Bodhaya for satisfaction, Kalpate they are meant for administration, Shasanam injunction, Vacha words of. So there is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, who is engaged in maintaining his citizens, but this injunction is not applicable to me. Okay, let's see. So Maharaj Yudhishthira thought that although he was not actually involved in the administration of the kingdom, which was being carried on well by Duryodhana without harm to the citizens, he caused the killing of so many living beings only for his personal gain of the kingdom from the hands of Duryodhana. The killing was committed not in the course of administration, but for the sake of self-aggrandizement, and as such he thought himself responsible for all the sins. So he's saying that he was not a king at the time, so he sort of robbed Duryodhana and killed so many people. So like, it's not that he was an administrator and he was doing his job. No, he wasn't doing his job, because that was not, this was not a responsibility of his, that he should be doing this. He did it for his own personal gain, which was the kingdom itself. So he thinks that he has accumulated sin by doing that. So Yudhishthira was thinking that the quarrel was within the family, and it should not have led to extreme violence, killing of family, also involving so many other sins, with this quarrel, accumulating other sins with this quarrel. But from what we know, that everybody tried to negotiate. When Lord Krishna went and tried to negotiate, he even said, I will settle for 5 villages, give them something. They are warriors, they are kshatriyas, they need to rule something. Even some villages will do. But Duryodhana was having none of it. He didn't want to know. So they had like ample opportunity to come to a compromise, but there was no compromise. They say the talks had broken down. So there was no alternative but to engage in war. And Krishna wanted, in a way, this to happen, because there was a lot of miscreants who needed to leave their body, because they was causing a lot of problem to society, to the planet Earth. They were like a burden at the time. So they had to go, and so it's Krishna's arrangement. Istrinam maddat bandunam droho yosav ihotitaha karma gram diyer naham kalpo vyapohitam. So Istrinam of the women, mat by me, hat bandunam of the friends who are killed, droha enmity, yah that, asav all those, iha hevid, utitha has accrued, karma bihi by dint of work, grahamedi yahi by persons engaged in material welfare, na never aham I kalpa can expect, vyapohitam undoing the same. I have killed many friends of women, and I have thus caused enmity to such an extent that it is not possible to undo it by material welfare work. So his consciousness is disturbing him. So Srila Prabhupada explains, the Grahemedis are those whose only business is to perform welfare work for the sake of material prosperity. Such material prosperity is sometimes hampered by sinful activities, for the materialist is sure to commit sins, even unintentionally, in the course of discharging material duties. To get relief from such sinful reactions, the Vedas prescribe several kinds of sacrifices. It is said in the Vedas that by performing the Ashvamedha Yajna, the whole sacrifice, one can get relief from even Brahmahatya, killing of Brahmana. So Yudhishthira Maharaj performed this Ashvamedha Yajna, but he thinks that even by performing such yajnas, it is not possible to get relief from the great sins committed. So he believes that his sins outweigh the auspiciousness that may be created by the Ashvamedha Yajna. In war, either the husband or the brother or even the father or sons go to fight, and when they are killed, a fresh enmity is created, and thus a chain of actions and reactions increases, which is not possible to be counteracted even by thousands of Ashvamedha Yajnas. So this enmity lasts for generations and generations. It keeps going. The way of work, karma, is like that. It creates one action and another reaction simultaneously, and thus increases the chain of material activities, binding the performer in material bondage. In the Bhagavad-Gita 9:27 to 28, the remedy is suggested that such actions and reactions, the path of work, can be checked only when work is done on behalf of the Supreme Lord. The battle of Kurukshetra was actually fought by the will of the Supreme Lord Krishna, as it is evident from his version, and only by his will was Yudhishthira placed on the throne of Hastinapur. Excuse me. Therefore, factually no sin whatsoever touched the Pandavas, who were only the order carriers of the Lord. For others who declare war out of the personal interest, the whole responsibility lies on them. So Srila Prabhupada explains once again, so that no sin was incurred in this occasion, on this occasion. So 51. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is thinking that I have committed so much sin that no amount of yajna can purify this karmic reaction. By killing so many enemies, I have created more enemies that are still living, creating a further chain of actions and reactions. But when Krishna sanctioned it, he's also the super soul in everyone's heart. Krishna can decide, who will have an enmity against us and who will be our friend. We should also be very careful to counteract. You did this. This is like Prabhupada explains to us in our lives. We should be very careful to counteract. You did this to me, I am going to do this to you. The cycle of action and reaction is vicious. I was exploited, so I'm going to do this to you. We should learn to put a pause button on our karmic reactions. We should know that everything I am getting is a consequence of my previous actions. Let me stop performing actions for my sense gratification and do for pleasure of Krishna. He wanted to help the ladies who have lost their protection, the husbands and father of their children. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, he would do that. That this was like one of the arguments of Arjun, that what will happen to the families who've lost their breadwinners, and you explain that Yudhishthira Maharaj will be king, and he will look after each one. He will have some kind of welfare system where everybody, no one will starve. Everybody will have food and shelter until at least their children have grown up and they can fend for themselves and the family. So everybody was taken care of. Yudhishthira was the emperor, the king of the world. He had everything, and then they also found a mountain of gold that Krishna arranged for them. So they have plenty of wealth, although a lot of wealth was used up in this bloody battle. There was plenty of riches that were available to them, which would help their cause. And regarding us, they're saying that we should be careful when we respond to people, especially when we respond to devotees, because if there's a conflict, it's possible this conflict is due to our previous reactions or even our actions. It's both-sided. So it's important that even if the other person is reacting, that we are careful to how we react or how we respond, because if we had this problem, which is a reaction of our previous actions, then we will just create more reactions for future. So the cycle goes on and on. So we need to put a pause on that cycle by not reacting in a harsh way, in an aggressive way, and try to resolve the situation, find a way to avoid those people, but in a friendly manner. That if we react in an aggressive way, then we are creating more tension and reactions for the future as well. So we have to make sure we're not doing anything that is going to be counterproductive for us going forward. So this is why it's important that when we're angry, we take a deep breath and we have a good think before we take any action. And finally, yatha pankena pankambha suryava surakritam bhuta hatyam tathaivaikam na yagne marshutam arhati. Yatha, as much as pankena, by the mud, pankamba, water mixed with mud, surya, by wine, either surakritam, impurity caused by the slight touch of wine, bhut hatyam, killing of animals, tatha, like that, eva, certainly, ekam, one, na, never, yagnihi, by the prescribed sacrifices, marshutam, to counteract, arhati, is worthwhile. As it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine-stained pot with wine, it is not possible to counteract the killing of men by sacrificing animals. So this thing about the yajna that we're going to do, Srila Prabhupada explains, Ashwamedha yagyas or Gomedha yagyas, sacrifice in which a horse or a bull is sacrificed, were not, of course, for the purpose of killing the animals. Although it seems like that for the to counteract your killing, doing more killing. This doesn't sound right at all. But Lord Chaitanya said that such animals sacrificed on the altar of yajna were rejuvenated and a new life was given to them. That was the process. You're doing something good, although it just initially it seems like you're just creating more karma. It was just to prove the efficacy of the hymns of the Vedas. By recitation of the hymns of the Vedas in the proper way, which is not possible nowadays. So we don't do sacrifices because no one is qualified to recite those hymns. Certainly the performer gets relief from the reactions of sins. So if Maharaj Yudhishthira had instigated this, then he would get relief from reactions. But in each case of such sacrifices improperly done under inexpert management, surely one has to become responsible for animal sacrifices. So if you cannot bring those animals back, you kill those animals, but you cannot bring them back because the Brahmanas were not expert enough, then yes, then you would get more sin. So surely one has to become responsible for animal sacrifice. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there is no possibility of performing the yajnas perfectly for want of expert brahmanas who are able to conduct such yajnas. So Maharaj Yudhishthira therefore gives a hint to performing sacrifice in the age of Kali. In the Kali Yuga, the only sacrifice recommended is the performance of Hari Nam Yajna, inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Kali Yuga, that's the Yajna of the Kali Yuga. There's no need for firewood and putting lots of ghee, lots of wood, chanting lots of mantras, creating a lot of smoke, because our Yajna is the Sankirtan Yajna or the Harinam Yajna, that we chant the holy name, which can be done individually or in a congregation, chanting. That is a Yajna for the Kali Yuga. We don't have the facilities, we don't have the time, we don't have the opulence to have those big yajnas anymore, and we don't have the qualified people to carry out those yajnas. So Maharaj Yudhishthira therefore gives a hint to performing sacrifice in the age of Kali. In the Kali Yuga, the only sacrifice recommended is the performance of Hari Nam Yajna, inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this yajna you can have anytime, anywhere. You can have every week. You can have 2-3 times a week. It doesn't cost anything. But one should not indulge in animal killing and counteract it by performing the Harinam Yajna. Those who are devotees of the Lord never kill an animal for self-interest. And as the Lord ordered Arjuna, they do not refrain from performing the duty of a Kshatriya. The whole purpose, therefore, is served when everything is done for the will of the Lord. This is possible only for the devotees. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 8th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit Saved. Hare Krishna. So that is chapter 8. And Prabhupada explained, 2 wrongs don't make a right. You cannot fix a mistake by committing another mistake. He did not want a yajna where killing is done. That would not be purifying, especially now in the age of Kali. These yajnas have no effect. Yeah. So, it is still Dwapar Yuga at that time. So it was the recommended yajnas of that period. But nowadays, the yajnas are performed, and the yajnas don't have as much effect as they used to because they're not the recommended yajnas, but we still have them. We still have the yajnas after initiation ceremonies, Brahman ceremonies. We have Narsinga Yajna, there's different yajnas that we do for well-being and protection. I mean, for initiation as well, we have the yajna. It makes it all official, right? Plus, we're thanking, because who's the master of the sacrifices? Who is Krishna himself? So we thank Krishna, and plus the yajna makes it all official. Once we have fire sacrifice, it makes it official. Of the process looks more official, but they don't have that potency which they did before. So when we have the yajna, fire sacrifice, we still will go around chanting Hare Krishna, right? So that is the potency. So even though you got a fire sacrifice, after the fire sacrifice and all the mantras, right? This is now official. This process is now official. Then you go around the yajna and chant the.
So thanking.
Yeah. Thank Yogeshwara, because the Krishna is Yogeshwara. And yajna is the yajna purush. All the yajnas are done for him. So yeah, and then you chant, then you go around in circle, chanting Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna chanting is the main process in the Kali Yuga. So this is chapter 8, and we'll have the overview this Wednesday on the same link. But it won't be in the morning, so there'll be no class in the morning. We'll have the overview in the evening, 8 p.m. till 9 p.m. So hope we can all join. And so I'm looking forward to that. And now I would like to hear from yourselves, and stop sharing. Okay. Hare Krishna, and like to hear from Pundrikaksh Prabhu. Hari Hari Bol Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much for reading and explaining these verses very nicely. I think Vivo is Sarveshwar Mataji Prabhuji.
And it's, sorry, second Prabhu?
Vivo ID is Sarveshwar Mataji.
I think that's my father-in-law. He's listening from India at the moment.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah. I mean, a few points from this, that in Vedas there are so many things given by which we can counteract the sinful reactions. But that doesn't mean that we have to commit sinful activity and use the Vedas as a medicine to cure that. So we should avoid doing any sinful activity, and we should think before acting. I mean, luckily Pandavas and Yudhishthira Maharaj got Krishna in presence with them, in front of them, giving them instructions. But for us, it is very hard to understand what actually is instructions of Krishna in a particular situation, or what actually gives pleasure to Krishna. So that is why we have to rely on scriptures and listen to these scriptures under the guidance of spiritual master and discipline succession. Otherwise, it's not easy to understand what gives actually pleasure to Krishna. So, for example, people keep asking this question, that I can offer anything, then I can offer anything, whatever I eat. Like even they offer some silly questions also they ask, like, can I offer liquor also? Can I offer this also? I offer to the Lord. But Krishna gave instructions very clearly in Bhagavad-Gita what gives him satisfaction, like Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. So you have to give pleasure to the Lord according to the scriptures. And Prabhupada explained in his lecture, in one of his lecture on that particular text, that we have to do it for the pleasure of Krishna only, not for the demigods. So people often sacrifice animals for Mother Durga. In the Vedas, it is given that you can sacrifice an animal, but that is done for a special, like in the last purport, Chaitanya Prabhupada says that it gives a human birth to that animal that is being sacrificed when Vedas are chanted in that way. But people do it nowadays for their own satisfaction, killing animal and eating that. And they also prepare animal for the day. They offer it, and then they are doing it for their sense gratification. And one who does for their sense gratification, they have to face the reactions of the sinful activities. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, this process, this person meat eating by offering to Kali, and thing still goes on. And the only problem with that is that I mean, it's Kali would not accept that it doesn't accept that offering. When you're offering to say Lord Shiva and Parvati, they are Vaishnavas. They only accept Krishna Prasad. They will not accept things like that directly. So who ends up eating those things, or who ends up taking the offering is the ghouls and the ghosts who are there, associate with them. So then they are eating that meat, and then that is the remnants of the these creatures that they're eating, which Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam explains nicely that it's not accepted by the demigods. These things, they are devotees of the Lord. It's accepted by the ghosts and the ghouls, and then you're eating the remnants. Only one thing is that when you are doing meat eating in a certain process, like can eat it once a month, but you offer it and like that, then you eat it, then if you're following a process, so eventually you will start understanding, because you're not doing just randomly just eating. And when you do something in a responsible way, then sooner or later the penny drops and you stop eating meat. That's the idea. Around some of the processes are recommended that if you must eat meat, then you eat it in a systematic way, and eventually you'll stop eating it, because you'll understand that why we're doing this and what does it mean, and what you start investigating, and then you stop eating.
Thank you so much.
Kiran Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, everybody. What can I say? Amazing conclusion to this chapter. Yudhishthira, great emperor, lamentations. After all that's said and done, still doubt, anxiety. Did I do the right thing? This is a thing that affects us all. Did I do the right thing? And the killing of 640 million warriors, not a mean feat. So many people died, and so many others were affected because they were connected to those warriors. And hence there was something called collateral damage. The collateral damage was inflicted upon the women, the children, and all others who were dependent upon the warriors. The collateral damage was also done to the environment of Kurukshetra. Sometimes our words and our deeds, though laser-driven to one individual, will have collateral damage with all others that are affected to that individual. We say things with relatives, families, and friends, but we can't put a lock on people's mouths, because they will talk about, oh, he said that, and he did that, and she did that. Small minds gossip, bigger minds discuss wisdom. But Yudhishthira, although he was a great emperor, he still had weaknesses, and he had those lamentations. He liked a flutter or a dice game or two. But there we are. This is a lesson for all of us, because we have all our weaknesses, but Krishna has great mercy for all of us. And Krishna teaches Yudhishthira, there's no karmic reactions here, because this was my will. This is the will of God. And this was necessary because after all that is said and done, all efforts to negotiate and all efforts to have a diplomatic resolution was not followed. I will not relinquish one blade of grass. That was Duryodhana's position. And hence war was inevitable. And hence we will sometimes have to be firm, astute, decisive, and even with family, friends, and others have to say things. But be mindful of the collateral damage that we can inflict with our words, deeds, and our actions. At that time, there was the position of, okay, this happened, let's perform an Ashwamedha. Ashwamedha was a yagya, where there are horses or bulls that are used. And even in a philosophy that is steeped in himsa, those who are charged with conducting the Ashwamedha ceremonies, they knew that this ceremony would liberate those animals back to Godhead, back to no longer being in the fauna form, but away from the birth and rebirth that even animals experience. And so it's now been indicated that these type of ritualistic Ashwamedhas were not necessary because they are not performed correctly. And even havans and yagnas that are performed today are not done to Vedic edicts and injunctions and per strict guidelines. I remember once we had a yagna at home and I turned my back and the Brahmin said, "Why are you turning your back to God?" And in my head, I realized God was everywhere. But who was I to argue with the Brahmin at that time? And it is the great lessons that we learn from these scriptures that through hearing these verses, these poems, that they are liberating. No longer is fire yagya is necessary, no longer are Ashwamedha is necessary. The Hare Krishna yagna, the Hare Krishna chanting for this yuga is liberating, purifying, transformational, and is transcendental. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you. Let me just ask Anjali Mataji, like to add anything. Anjali Mataji, would like to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone.
You have any questions or you want to add anything?
Just after listening to the class, I'm so thankful to you. Whatever you said was so lovely, as I always say. Just was thinking, God is so merciful. As you said in Kali Yuga, if we chant the mantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, it is as compared as doing a yagya. So we are, as a Kali Yugi, we are so blessed and thankful to God. And to be honest, getting Sangha as of devotees like you makes our life so peaceful and appreciable. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Hare Krishna, everyone. Pranams to all of you. What a beautiful end to the prayers of Maharani Kunti's today in the verses. I would like to quote a quote by Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, where he says, humility is not thinking oneself, it is thinking less about oneself. So thinking more of Lord by putting Lord in the center. So as to say, surrendering to the absolute, surrendering to the will of the absolute. So Acharyas have done all the homework for us, like we always say. Srila Prabhupada has simplified, and if we hear from the previous Acharyas and we just see their quotations, makes learning so easy for us. So if we are going about in our lives, acting, behaving, doing our duties according to how the Shastras they tell us to do, how to live in the Varnashrams, we don't have to fear of anything. But if we are just thinking of making rules in our own heads, behaving and going about in our lives according to our own whims, then that is going to create karma for ourselves and is going to bind ourselves to this samsara of birth, death, old age and disease for eons and eons. Because the Srishti is going to get annihilated, then created. There are innumerable Brahmajis, there are innumerable universes, and we will get a chance to come in one of the universes according to our behaviors, according to our karma. So we better learn in this life and make some progress towards the Godhead. So as we've seen that in excuse me, that in Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva he's the Shaktavesh avatar for writing. He has written so many things, and then he writes Bhagavatam because he wasn't satisfied. And similarly for this yug, the Shaktavesh avatar is Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada is the avatar for preaching. And that's so nice, isn't it? That we have got, not long ago, we had an avatar in our own sampradaya, Srila Prabhupada, who has done everything for us. All we have to do is discuss and understand and try to implement these teachings in our lives. This is all we have to do. And I really liked when towards the end we were hearing that 2 wrongs don't make a right. Srila Prabhupada had written, isn't it? Wasn't it purple, or did you say that?
Yes.
Yeah. So 2 wrongs don't make a right. So instead of getting angry, instead of trying to retaliate, instead of trying to react, it's best to pause, to have deep breaths, and save your blood pressures, and also save your health, and save the people around you, and be a good role model, not just to yourself, but make Lord also happy, your spiritual masters also happy with your conduct. So some really lovely messages through the concluding verses today, and I'll really look forward to the overview on Wednesday. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Yes, so we're saying that we're talking about reactions here. So Yudhishthira was worried about getting reaction from his actions, but all those actions were sanctioned by the Lord. He was there present personally in his body. He was saying, do this, we must fight. And still, this was worried about reactions. So we should be, he didn't worry about his reactions, but we should be worried about our reactions, because our actions every day create new reactions. We're chanting the Maha Mantra, we're purifying, we're doing other processes, we're eating prasadam, we're purifying ourselves, but only problem is we're creating more karma at the same time. So our karma reactions, we have plenty from the past, we don't need any more. We need to burn them, and at the same time we have to make sure we don't create more karma. Otherwise, what is the point? It's like Hathimata, isn't it? You're taking a bath and then you're putting mud back on yourself. What is the point of taking the bath? So we're taking the bath to completely clean ourselves and make sure no mud goes back on the body, at least for a while. We can help it. So it's like that. So we've got to look at both sides. Clean what needs cleaning and make sure it stays clean through our actions, everyday actions, through our responses, through our dealings with people. Let's not rush into saying something or doing some action, then regretting later on, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have said this. Just take a pause, or pause for a thought before we say something, before we react. So, these lessons we can learn from these teachings. So thank you all so much. We will finish here today and catch up on Wednesday evening. Shurpat ki jai, Shurpat ki jai. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much.
Hari Bol, Prabhuji.
Very good.
Hare Krishna.